Is he a lost genius, or unmistakably a swindle? Is he the best mentor to guide young talents, or a master of intrigue and discord, with the potential to ruin a team? The answers lie hidden within this slightly dilapidated century-old football stadium. A year ago, Ten Hag announced his appointment as the head coach of Manchester United. At the very beginning of his tenure, the Dutch coach quickly ignited a fire in the locker room, aiming his attack at Cristiano Ronaldo and forcing the legendary No. 7 of the Red Devils to leave for Saudi Arabia in disappointment. But the Dutch head coach could never have imagined that a year later, the genius he once highly valued would stand up against him, staging a palace drama. In the summer of 2022, under Ten Hag's tactical arrangement, an indignant Jadon Sancho pulled out outstanding performance with 3 goals in 4 games during the summer training match. Off the pitch, the relationship between the mentor and the apprentice also entered a honeymoon period. After Sancho helped Manchester United overcome Liverpool 2-1, the English star proudly stated that if it wasn't for Ten Hag's excellent leadership, asking the entire team to run for 14 kilometers in temperatures up to 30 degrees, they would not have surmounted the 0-4 defeat by Brentford and triumphed over the arch-rival Liverpool. But the Manchester United head coach, who Sancho admires so immensely, would eventually become the beginning of a nightmare for the Englishman. On October 22nd, during a match against Chelsea, Sancho made numerous low-level mistakes. In response to Sancho's poor performance, Ten Hag expressed his displeasure, waved his hand and substituted Sancho out. Yet at this point, only 52 minutes of the match had passed when Sancho, with his head held low, walked towards the Manchester United substitute bench. He was unaware that he wouldn't set foot on a field for 4 long months. During this period, Sancho was continually troubled by illness and mental issues, unable to represent Manchester United in any game. Ten Hag was unaware that Sancho had quietly fallen into confusion. On the eve of the World Cup in Qatar, the England national team announced their squad list once again, and Sancho's name was missing yet again. Staring at the dark skies over Manchester, English player Sancho was in a state of confusion, unable to play for the club and discarded by the national team. At this point, Sancho no longer knew the direction forward. Nevertheless, he persevered in scorching sunshine, taking part in devilish training under Ten Hag at the Carrington training ground, sprinting in matches to pursue victory for Manchester United. Despite all this, he was always holding his breath, eagerly hoping to use his outstanding club performance to secure a ticket into the England national team as a redemption for his penalty miss at the 2020 European Cup. Unfortunately, it was too late, and in life, like on the football field, once you've missed the mark, there are no do-overs. Sancho chose to deactivate his social media profiles and no longer accepted any interviews. Even the British tabloid gossip writers couldn't track him down. Despite his confusion, Sancho was blind to the invisible hand preparing to pull him out of his lost way. Knowing the psychological burden on the Englishman was increasingly heavy, Ten Hag prepared a series of supportive resources in his hometown, the Netherlands, including a coach, a psychologist and training field for Sancho. He knew clearly that the most critical step for Sancho to overcome his inner demons was to take the first brave step and reinvent himself. In February 2023, Manchester United played against Leeds United. At the 70th minute, Sancho, who had been absent from the field for a long time, reappeared on Old Trafford, helping Manchester United to a 2-2 draw against the White Roses. After the match, Ten Hag gave high praise to Sancho, openly expressing his pride for the latter overcoming his difficulties. Yet Ten Hag was oblivious that such pride would be the final moment of kindness that fate had arranged for him and Sancho. Since his return, Sancho has been struggling to find his position despite his time as attacking midfielder, left and right winger, and false 9, and even contributing a memorable scene where on a maneuver led to 3 players being sent off. The number 25 for England perpetually falls victim to his own mental demons on the approach of major competitions. On June 3, 2023, Manchester United met Manchester City in the FA Cup final. Ten Hag, who still had some expectations of Sancho, the former golden boy of European football, decided to give him another start, but the result was disappointing to all. Off the pitch, Sancho stunned everyone by refusing Ferguson's handshake. On the pitch, his passes were aimless, and his opponents continuously stopped his dribbles. Left with no choice, Ten Hag decided to substitute Sancho. Stepping in, Garner won everyone over with his attitude. Although the Manchester United fans knew their team had no power to overturn the 1-2 defeat, the young Argentinian player kept challenging the opponent's defense line. Even when the ball kid was slightly slow in service, he was still intensely animated. Undoubtedly, for Ten Hag, how to handle Sancho is already crystal clear. The football field is just like the workplace. When new faces begin to rise, Sancho, being a veteran, would inevitably be replaced if he could not present impressive performance. However, Sancho could not understand. The demons in his heart were whispering over and over again, silently pushing him and Ten Hag to opposite sides. It was Ten Hag who ruined you. You were the genius of the Bundesliga, the much-loved son of Borussia Dortmund. Your future should not be defined by Ten Hag. As Sancho was time and time again relegated to the substitute bench, he may have found an answer on how to respond to Ten Hag. The situation became more complicated on September 3, 2023, when Manchester United suffered a 1-3 defeat to Arsenal. During the match against Arsenal, Sonko decided to publicize the conflict. He claimed on social media that it was often made the scapegoat of the team. The tension escalated between Ten Hag and Sonko. From Ten Hag's perspective, he has given his all for Sonko, granting him opportunities to play again and again. On the training ground, in press conferences, and even on the pitch, he uses language to spur Sonko on. This is, in his eyes, the best way to help the lost European golden boy find the path to success. He cannot understand why Sonko still criticizes him, and even after being demoted from the team, he refuses to offer an apology. Perhaps Ten Hag, now 53, had already forgotten the dreams and ambitions he had when he was a teenager, when he prided himself on how he would manage young players if he were the coach. It was a shame that, 40 years later, Ten Hag had a different perspective. He saw himself as the captain of Old Trafford, captain of the Red Devils, who was here to guide them to success. The understanding and gentleness of the past are gone, and what was declared at the age of 13 no longer belongs to Ten Hag. We see today, a person's life belongs to themselves. Just as you used harsh words to treat old acquaintances today, so too will you use vile language to address past acquaintances. Reality is illusory. We are always walking down an inexplicable path, but in any case, those who stumble and fall will eventually become whole.